Hey y'all, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Mary Payne, and I'm excited because I have a bonus episode for you today. I'm very lucky today to get to be talking to super producer Carlos King. Also has an amazing podcast, just had a great interview out that I'm sure all of you heard with Nene, one of our faves. And I'm so happy to be talking to you, Carlos. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to talk to you as well.
I've got a picture of you in your lovely closet with all your sneakers behind you. I guess you're like a sneakerhead, I guess.
I am obsessed with shoes. It's my favorite accessory. So I
Okay.
like to be surrounded by beautiful things as I work.
Do you follow that Instagram account, Preachers and Sneakers?
It's so funny. Someone told me about that. So someone literally told me about it. So I haven't followed it yet, but it's definitely on my radar.
It's funny because it's just all these like mega church preachers. And then they've got like $4,000 sneakers on and stuff. Yeah. Or like they'll price out what their belt costs or something like that. It's called Preachers and Sneakers. It's a great Instagram account. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I did hear about it. And I want to say I perused through it and I'm like, oh, it's kind of like an expose and not like a
Yeah.
love for shoes. So got it.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's an expose. It's
Yeah.
just like whatever is that Instagram account that's like the Real House fakes, and it shows all the fake designer stuff and compares what it should look like versus what somebody wore. It's really that to me is so fascinating. It's,
Oh my God. And shady.
yes, yes. Well, I was telling you before I came on, you have a show called Belle Collective, which is on the OWN network. And I'm from Mississippi, where, of course, our Queen Oprah is from. And
Yes.
uh, I knew about this show, but I dipped in and out, never really like fully watched it. Well, last night I was like, well, before I talk to Carlos, let me just, oh my gosh, then I couldn't stop. And my producer was texting me. He was like, how's that show, Belle Collective? I said, it is good. It is good. And it is very stylistically, in my opinion, just as a viewer, stylistically a little bit like Housewives. The production value is just beautiful. It's a great show, Carlos. It's a great show.
Thank you so much. It's one of my favorites because it sort of gives you inside peek into a world that people don't know exists, right? I feel like Jackson, Mississippi is such a beautiful city that has a lot of rich characters. And the show kind of gives you an ode back to the Real Housewives, where it's about these successful women who are super successful entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
And they also have a very interesting personal life with their husbands and their boyfriends. So it's one of my favorites for sure.
It's good. It's coming up on the fourth season. Is that right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Our the second half of our season premieres November 10th at 9 o'clock Central on the Oprah Winfrey Network. So it's such a good show, and I'm very proud of it. It's super fun, delicious, messy,
Yep.
comedic, but emotional. It gives you all the feels that you love when you're watching a reality show.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It's funny because I was watching the season one, I think it was the season one reunion, and they start bickering as they do at reunions or tell-alls. And the next thing you see is like you're behind, and it's like Carlos King, producer, and you're like, "Listen, ladies," and I was like, "I'm talking to Carlos tomorrow." There's
Yes,
his, there's
yes.
his booty, there's his booty right there on my screen.
That's how I roll. I gotta make sure the girls are doing their best work and handling themselves in the best situations. So yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time in Jackson, my hometown?
I don't spend a lot of time there. When we're filming, I'm there for the first like week of filming, and then I let my
Mm.
producer do their jobs because I'm not a micromanager. But every time I go to Jackson, I just fall in love with the city all over again because it's super charming and polite people,
Yeah.
and I really do love it there.
Good. Well, I would encourage everybody, whether you're from Jackson or not, to give it a watch. Like I said, I knew about it and I had seen it, but knowing I was talking to you, I was like, "Well, let me catch up." And then I was like, "Oh my God, it's 11 o'clock. I got to go to bed." But
We
and
love that
so
you
is
cook.
I know it's good. It's good. So Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now that's Huntsville, Alabama, and that's
Yes.
another place. I have a good friend from Huntsville. Now, okay. Who's the guy on Love in Huntsville, Alabama that was dating Sheree? And what's the story?
So his name is Martell Holt.
Uh-huh.
When Love and Marriage Huntsville was first created, he was married to his then wife, Melody Holt.
Okay.
And a few things happened in their marriage, one of them being infidelity. Then
Mm.
Martell had a baby while he was married. Martell had a baby with another woman while he was
Oh,
married to Melody.
okay. Whoops.
A little
That
oopsie
was
daisy.
oopsie.
Um, Obviously, she filed for divorce, and now he's single, she's single, but they're still on the same show together, which I'm sure is weird for the both of them, but that's the reality of their lives.
Well, that happens a lot in reality TV. When you look at Vanderpump Rules or any of these shows, it's too, if you want to keep a job, it's just too bad. But so when he showed up on Atlanta with Sheree, it was like a big stink, right? And I was like, having what not being familiar with Huntsville, but not the show, I was like, oh my goodness. So people were like all up in arms about Martell. So then I was like, well, now maybe I need to turn into Love and Marriage Huntsville to see what's the deal with Martell.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's definitely an interesting character. And I was also surprised when I learned that he and Sheree were dating because I'm friends
Really?
with Sheree as well. So
Yeah.
I did not hook them up. I'm not the matchmaker. Do not call me. I'm not Patty Stinger. I will stick to producing television. So I was surprised they were dating as well. And yeah, it was a shock to us all.
Is she still dating him? I don't know. I can't remember at
I,
the end of
I
last season. I don't think so.
Yeah, I believe on the reunion she stated that they aren't dating anymore.
Yeah. Sheree seems to have a bad picker, you know. Although,
I've said that.
maybe Martell is reformed now and maybe he was perfect for Sheree. Like who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I think Sheree and Martell were just having fun. I never thought it would go to the point of getting married and having children. I
Yeah.
just think we both were like, listen, we both look great. Let's have
Mhm.
fun and enjoy each other's company. But I never saw it lasting for like a long time. Yeah, no.
And that's sometimes on these shows, you're like, just leave this person alone. Like who and I think about that a little bit this past season of OC with the new girl Jen and everybody's on her about her boyfriend. And I was like, she knows he's a dirty dog and she's fully aware. So just let her live. Like who cares? So why do you care? She acknowledges it. He acknowledges it. They've all agreed he's a cheater. So why is everybody just like hounding on her all the time? Like let her live. Let her date this guy. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you in terms of look, if that's what you like, honey, then continue going with it because I'm not dating the person. Yes, we can have opinions about it, especially when you're on reality TV. But I'm like you when it comes to Jen and Ryan. I listen, I think Jen knows what she signed up for, and as long as she and Ryan are happy, I'm happy for her.
Yeah. God, talk about somebody that looks good. Dang, she just put out an Instagram here in the last day or two, and it was like a bikini ad, and I was like, my gosh, that girl, her body, wow.
Yeah, no, she's
She's
beautiful. I think Ryan's cute too, though.
what? Listen, now I'm looking at your closet. You wouldn't be wearing any of that stuff that he
What a
wears. He
denim
dresses like a
jacket.
clown. Oh my God, he dresses like a clown. Come on
He's
now.
so funny to me. I think he's such great television. I think he's great for the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think with a lot of these things, you have to look at it that way, right? Like, is it good for the
Yeah,
show? And if they're good for the show, then what we can abide
yeah,
by the jackets, I guess. It's
yeah. We'll let that slide.
they're pretty bad though. Also, isn't it hot in the OC? Why is he always in a jacket?
I know,
Yeah.
well, honey, because he think he's so smoking hot that he needs the jacket to cool himself down, girl.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, so do you currently live in the South? Are you in Atlanta?
I'm in Atlanta right now. Yes.
Okay. So we know, everybody knows about Carlos. We know you produced Housewives. We know you produced Jersey. Did you produce any of the other Housewives shows, or those are the two?
No, just
Those
Atlanta and
are
Jersey.
well,
Yeah.
it's big. I mean, it's pretty dang big because you were there at the beginning of those two
Nene
huge
Leakes,
shows.
Teresa Judice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you count those girls as your friends. I think you can't.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to come at you.
No, I'm very protected.
That's right. I want to get your opinion on. this situation, and I call it a situation because it's real weird with what's happening with Bethenny. Now,
Okay.
this is not with Bethenny and Nene in that interview because I think that
Okay.
actually went okay compared to what she did with Raquel. But what is Bethenny doing? Why is she posting 20 TikToks a day and going into TJ Maxx and trying to give the workers her old makeup? Like, why? Why? Why?
Listen, I think Bethany has found a new way of keeping herself relevant, right?
Hmm.
She has attached herself to the TikTok generation because
Hmm.
she's trying to discover a new audience, and I think she wants a new audience to discover her. When you're not on TV on a regular basis, it does something to you. You know, some people miss the cameras and they miss the intention. And I
Yeah.
think what she's doing is she's somebody who's trying to reinvent herself. And she's doing that by really aligning herself with the TikTok generation of makeup tutorials, you know, being a consumer reporter and doing all
Yeah.
these things. It's very interesting, I will say. Listen, she's a fantastic reality star. She definitely is one of the goats.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we will always give her that, and you cannot take that away from her. She is a goat. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, the recent choices of being a TikToker was surprising. It really was.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. I'm like super tired looking at her. I'm like, listen, I like the makeup tutorials. Like, I could get behind that. It's like, buy this, not that, because this works
Yeah,
just as good as that. I'm like, great. And we all needed that. We all need that during COVID. And we all, listen, she's also sitting in her closet. Speaking of your fabulous closet, she's sitting in a closet with like Chanel's and Birkins and everything lined up behind her, talking about the $2 concealer from CVS. It doesn't totally ring true, but I liked the makeup tutorials. When she started taking it to the streets and like, I think I'll take this old used makeup to the ladies at TJ Maxx and see if they want it. Then you're like, that's condescending and rude. And
so
no,
that's what she's
girl.
doing now.
Yeah, she went into TJ Maxx with used makeup palettes. She had gotten the makeup palettes. Maybe somebody sent it to her or she bought it, but it's probably like a expensive makeup palette, right? She used some of it, decided the colors weren't for her, and then like took it to TJ Maxx and to the ladies that work in there, like, do you guys want this? I've used it, but you could have it. It's like, no, nobody wants your used makeup.
No, what in the garage sale is going on here? That
Exactly.
is very odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Nobody wants to
her.
yes, girl. No.
No. And then she's like going to the dollar store and then she's like, look at this, look at all this. We're like, we've all known about the dollar store. Okay. You didn't just invent something. Like, we've all heard of the dollar store. We've all been to she's going in and out of the dollar store. And I think it was Heather McDonald or somebody said, it's like she's doing middle class cosplay. It's like she's trying to, like, what did the middle class people do? Let me go and check it out. And it's starting to wear me down. And
Ah,
it's,
honey, I'm
it
worn
is.
down by listening to it. I didn't know Bethany was doing yard sales by making herself go to the place and put a
Yeah.
display of used makeup and giving it away for free. Okay.
It's interesting. It's interesting. And it makes me mad too because, like you're saying, she's such a goat, and it's one of those things. She's like a Nene or a Teresa or even
Yeah.
a Carolyn Manzo or just somebody that's just like so old school
Yeah.
embedded in our brains. Vicky, and
Vicky, for
you're like,
sure.
we want better for you, Bethany. Don't do this to us. Don't do this
I
to
cannot
us.
agree more. No, we want better for her. And yeah, it's like I said, it's very surprising. I did that was not on my bingo card at all. Yeah.
Did you speak with Nene after she did her interview with Bethany, which I think was pretty well received?
No, we did not speak after the interview. We spoke right before it.
Mm,
Nini's in a great place, and
good.
courtesy of the interview she and I did together, I was
Hmm.
happy to see a lot of people saw how whimsical she still is, how fun she still is, how she's still the same old Nini, and she received a lot of love after the interview, and it made me happy to know that she is not forgotten. And I'm looking forward to seeing more things from her because she's one of the greatest of all time. You know,
Yeah.
the greatest housewife of all time. You know, number one in my opinion. But there's more to Nene that I hope she's able to attain for herself because she deserves the world.
I love Nene, and I loved your interview with her because you could really
Thank you.
tell. Yeah, you could really tell that you guys are actually real life friends. And it
Hmm.
was nice to have an interview with her with somebody that really understood her and has known her from the beginning, from since we all saw her on our screen. You were there for that. So I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, it was well received, and I think it just reminded the audience that wow, we miss her. We miss
Oh
her.
yeah.
We want her back on our TV screen. So I was happy that that was the feedback for her, and she's doing great though. She's doing really really well.
I liked how she spoke about, her son that has addiction, and she
Yes.
didn't sugarcoat it or try to go past it or anything. She just said this is what it is, and he has to want it for himself. You could tell she's done a lot of work sort of in that space to get to the, probably, Al-Anon and all these things that will help you get to the understanding of like this is not my problem and it's not something I can fix. But it's still super heartbreaking as a parent, to hear her talking like that, knowing she will be there for him when he's ready, but right now he's just not ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's tough because a lot of parents can relate to that. When you
Mhm.
see your child's suffering through an addiction and you feel helpless and
Yeah.
you've done everything you feel like you're supposed to do, but nothing is changing, it's very hard. And it's not something I wish on anybody. But I'm
Yeah.
praying for both of them because Bryson is such a good guy who unfortunately, fell into the trappings of addiction, and
Mhm.
it's not something you take lightly. It can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter about race or sex
Right.
or
Of course.
economic status. And it goes to show you that it can happen to anybody. But to see Nini's grace and the way she's dealing with it was very powerful.
I thought so too. I thought that was a really important part of the interview
Mhm.
for other people to hear, like you said, that could be
Yes.
going through something with a spouse or a
Yeah.
child to just. Yeah, I was thinking, well, she has really done a lot of work on herself to sort of come to that realization, like, she can't drop everything and try to fix it because she can't fix it. He has to fix it. But it was,
Exactly.
yeah, it was really great. Now, um, so you live in Atlanta, you work in Atlanta, you worked on the Atlanta Housewives, and I got to know, what are your current thoughts on this Kim Zolciak Bierman situation? I
Shocking.
mean,
I mean, I feel a little bit responsible for hooking Kim McCrory up because doing season 4, um, Sheree was a part of this local Atlanta Dancing with the Stars event,
yes, yes, uh huh,
and Kim was there, and Kim wanted to leave. Carlos, I'm leaving. I'm like, no, just stay. And she tells me because you made me stay, I met my husband, which is Corey.
yeah, yeah,
So I was the executive producer who did her wedding special.
that's right.
Um, I helped, do the pilot for her spinoff. So I'm in love with Kim and Croy's marriage and their relationship, and it works for them. You could not have told me they would be dealing with this in this magnitude of like the cops being called to the house and
Daily. It seems like daily they're calling
I'm
the
like,
cops.
this is insane. But I'm also like, where's the camera? Because I want to like watch it too. So
I
that's the
know.
that's the viewer in me. But it's insane. I feel horrible for what's going on. It I just I
Now
no
listen,
one saw this coming. No one.
no one. You could name 6 other housewives couples that would break up before those 2.
Yeah, when you learned
And
that Drew and Rap were breaking up, it was like, duh,
duh. Yeah.
Cynthia and Peter, duh. Phaedra and Apollo, duh.
Yeah.
Kenya Mark, duh. This one was
Yes.
like, no way.
I know. And somebody made a joke the other day. They're like, they should have to pay $100 every time they call 911. It's like, can somebody come over here because like somebody left a blanket on my front steps and I feel threatened by the blanket on my front steps. It's like nonstop. The problem is too, in my opinion, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Like the more they keep calling the cops, the more we're gonna be like, oh, it's them again, and something really terrible could happen. And the
Yeah.
cops are going to be like, don't even worry, just swing by on your way home because who knows what's happening over there again. And the worst part, of course, obviously, is they've got the 4 little kids at home
Yeah.
that are in the midst of all this, you know?
Yeah.
I
Watching all of
just
this unfold is pretty sad for sure.
it's really sad. And I did also think, like, I wonder if Carlos gave her a call and was like, can I send a crew over there? What's happening?
I did not do that because I want to be very sensitive to the situation. And look, Kim is allegedly doing another show, a house
Hmm.
reality show. So at least we get to see her back on TV soon.
Yes, I have heard that as well. Speaking of that, that just sparked in me. It's not even on my list here. Did you watch that the first episode? I think it's only been the one episode of that House of Villains.
It's on my radar. I'm watching it tonight. Have you seen
Okay,
it?
I did watch it. I watched it when it was on because it came on right after something. It's supposed to. It's
On
on
Lake
E, but
City, I
it
think.
yeah, it was on Bravo,
Or
and
New
because
York.
I already had Bravo on, so I
Yeah,
was
it came
like,
out on the Bravo show. Yeah.
it's already on, so I'm just gonna watch it. I hadn't really planned or not planned, but they've got Anfisa on there, who was on 90 Day Fiance, which is a show I cover. So I was like, all right, we've got Jax. I mean, Jax is always gonna be entertaining just because he's Jax, and
Mhm.
a lot of these other people I don't have any idea. I knew who New York was from Flavor of
Yeah.
Love, but a lot of these other people I don't
Omarosa.
know. Omarosa. Listen, she has leaned all the way backwards and around the corner into this personality that she has created. She
Yeah.
is like sitting on a throne, you know, she's really leaning. She's like, nobody should cross me. I mean, she's really something. But listen, she makes great TV too because she leans into it so hard.
Is it a good show?
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I'd say it was good. How about this?
Would
It's
you
not
watch
bad.
it again?
Yeah, I'll watch it again because I can't figure out the angle of is somebody getting voted off? Are they not? Or because when they show this person's going to get voted off, then when they show all the previews for the next few weeks, all the people are still there. So I'm like, is somebody getting voted off, or is that like a trick that they're? I don't like it. I don't want to be
Yeah.
tricked. I don't want to be tricked. I don't want to be
Yeah.
tricked on a preview. I don't like
Give
it. So
it to me straight, honey. Yes.
I don't like it. We always do that when we're recapping. We're like, you know, that they said somebody's having this baby, but you know that was a trick. And next week they're going to be talking about the neighbor or something. Don't try to trick us. But we
Yes.
fall for it. We fall for it. We fall
Every
for it
time.
every time. So how is it for you working, coming from Housewives world and then going into your own, production company that you have now where you do these other shows, Belle Collective and Love and Marriage Huntsville currently. How do you find working with like the OWN network versus like working with Bravo? Do you find it sort of all the same across the board or do you have preferences, let's say?
Oh no, it's all the same across the board in the sense of it's the creative process, right?
Mhm.
Yes, each network is ran and operated differently, but when it comes to what my production company provides, it is content that is suitable for that particular network. So the creative process of developing a show and finding the cast and
Mhm.
making it digestible for an audience. That's the same no matter what network you're working for. So that's been my experience, and it's been a beautiful experience to say the least. Due to the fact, like you stated, I did come from producing many, many, many years of Atlanta Housewives as a producer that was hired by the production company who produced the show. And then fast forward, me starting my own production company and having success creating my own franchise and doing other shows for other networks. It has been fantastic. I'm living out my wildest dreams. And
Mhm.
I just love the fact that I took my experience of working for this juggernaut called the
Yeah.
Real Housewives and stepped into a lane that I created for myself is a true blessing.
Yeah. And let me ask you about Oprah.
Yes.
Now, Oprah, of course, like I said, she's from Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi. We claim Oprah. We love Oprah,
Amen.
and love, love, love. To me, Oprah could do no wrong. And I would like to know about your experience in meeting Oprah, and is she just the most floating on air angel you've ever been around?
Yes, she is. She is magnificent, super smart, brilliant. She's everything that you see on television that isn't an act.
Mhm.
That's exactly who she is. She's authentic, and she understands where she wants to take her network. And she's a great partner to have in this business. She approves every show idea that is on the air. Nothing
Mhm.
gets nothing gets past her. So she's a great collaborator and just a all around great human being, great boss. She hires some of the smartest people in the business who operate underneath her in terms of running the operations, who I love as well. So she has been just super fascinating to be a kid and watching her talk show with my mom,
Mhm.
and to know that years later I'm creating shows for her network is a huge God given blessing. I just every once in a while I sit back and be like, I can't believe this is like what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
it's been a joy.
Yeah, and to be, like you said, a kid watching that on TV, like I did, once we learned how to operate our VCR, I would, like, record Oprah every day, once because you had to program it, remember? And, I yeah, to for then to watch it on TV and then to be producing shows for her and having meetings with her and having her see the work that you're doing has gotta be just, like, mind-blowing on a daily basis, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, it is. And like I said, she is somebody who allows me to be me and allows my team and I to present her with a show that fits the brand of the network.
Mhm.
So she gives us much autonomy to do that. Like I said, she's a great collaborator, and I just could not have asked for a better partner in this.
My Oprah story, my one and only Oprah story is I was in Maui with my mom and my sisters. One and only time I've been to Maui. It was a little over 9 years ago.
Okay.
And we were staying at a house, but we'd gone over to the Four Seasons to have drinks, and we did that a couple of days, like it's at the view and everything is it's fabulous. So we were sitting there having our drinks, and it was sunset, had happened. So we were going back to our house. And as we walk out, just sort of me, the four of us are walking out. We just sort of glanced to the side, and there was Oprah just walking out, with some friends. She had her arm around a girl. They were like chatting, like a 20-year-old something. And they were chatting. It was a group of them. And between me and my mother and my sisters, I can't imagine the looks that we had because we're all like elbowing each other and trying not to act like lunatics. We're like, it's Oprah, it's Oprah, it's Oprah. We were under because the whole time we were in Maui, we were looking for Oprah, fully aware she lives in other places besides Maui. But we were there. We're like, maybe she's here. Oh my gosh, it was a thrill. She got into her car and her body language, it was not so much like she wanted people to talk to her, so we didn't. She was in a conversation, is what I mean. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
weren't going to interrupt her conversation. She was obviously in
Mhm.
a joking around with somebody and didn't want to like deal with the likes of us who were probably acting like Hickville, like, oh my God, it's Oprah. We were so excited. And she got in her car, and let me tell you what we did, Carlos. We followed her.
No, Mary, really?
But then she got to her gate, that goes up the mountain to where her house is. Okay, you can't. I mean, we kept going. We didn't stop at the gate. We just kept
Okay.
going. But we're like, well, now we know where the gate is. It doesn't matter. Her house is miles and miles up the road. But we were like, that's our celebrity sighting. So the next day, when we were driving by that same road, we like took a picture. We're like, Oprah, we wanted to say hello,
You're
but
like, just wave. I have some
hey,
for you.
wait, wave up the hill. But we're from Mississippi. My mom always said that. We should have said, we're from Mississippi too. We should have said it. We should have done it. I'm like, well, we didn't.
That could have changed things. Your mom is right.
That was our one and only chance ever to meet Oprah, and we blew it. But again, when you see somebody like that, that's so iconic, you
Yes.
don't, and you could tell they're in conversation with somebody. You don't really necessarily always want to be that person to be like, poke, poke, poke. Can I get a picture? So I think we did the right thing,
I,
but yeah.
I was gonna say you did the right thing. Listen, I would have done the same thing if I was, in your shoes. So I get it.
Who would it be for you now? If you saw, who would it be? Who would you see that you would just be starstruck? Because I feel like at this point you probably know everybody.
It's so funny. That's a good question. I met Beyonce a couple of times.
Oh my God.
I feel like you still will be starstruck regardless because it's Beyonce.
Uh-huh.
So either Beyonce or
That's
Michelle
sweet.
Obama.
Have you met Michelle Obama before?
I've never. No, okay. So when I was working with Oprah on the last season of her talk show,
Mm-hmm.
the Obamas came to Harpo to
Yeah.
film for the talk show. So
Yeah.
like the service was there. We all had to get a background check, and we all had to wear this pin so that you could be identified as like being cleared by
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
the White House. So I didn't meet her formally. I like just saw her, but
Yeah.
I want to like meet her, like shake her hand and hi, my name is Carlos. That hasn't
Yes.
happened yet. So I would love to meet Michelle Obama.
I would love to meet Michelle Obama as well. I have seen her in person as well here in DC. Sometimes we go to things and we see people like that. But yeah, Michelle Obama is another one that would really blow my mind if I ever met her. And I would probably do the same thing. And I'd probably just like slink away and just stare at her beauty from
Oh,
afar.
Mary, I'm coming straight like, hi. You need to like give me a hug, and I will give you one too. No, I would do a whole thing. I would just be super. I would be Carlos all the way.
Yeah.
Like,
But at
super like,
least, but Carlos, you could go up to Michelle Obama and be like, I'm friends with Oprah. And that
oh,
would be your
see,
intro.
that'll be my intro. There you go. That's a good idea.
See,
I
I
gotta
don't
try
have
that.
that.
It's
I don't
coming.
have that. I don't have that. All I've got is I'm from Mississippi. Like that's all I got. And I didn't even use it when I had the
Yes,
chance.
that'll work eventually.
Oh my gosh. So all right, so we've talked about the shows you're doing now. We're talking about Housewives. And what do you think about this new season of Potomac coming back? That's filmed here in my area. And this latest news that Chris Bassett was supposedly having some sort of affair, which I really don't think I believe that.
I don't believe it, and it's sad because the one thing I dislike about the dissemination of information
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that you can literally just put anything out there and people run with it.
Yeah.
And that's sad, Mary. Like, I grew up, studying the great, Barbara Walters, Diane Sawyer, Oprah Winfrey.
Mm-hmm.
I majored in journalism in college. I consider myself to be a journalist. So I've always believed in fact checking and citing your sources before you report on any story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that does not exist anymore. You could literally make up anything, and as long as it's salacious and juicy, people run with it, and that to me is sad. But I'm with you. I don't believe it at all.
I don't either, especially, and I didn't listen, but apparently the woman who was making these claims did some sort of a live with a blogger or a
Yeah,
Instagram influencer, and obviously from the people that my listeners that told me, they were like, the girl was obviously like shit faced drunk, and it made no sense, and so. And I think she's done sort of a attention grab before for other things, has made other claims against other people that turned out not to be true. They're like, so yeah, and I don't want that to be true because I love Potomac, and I think that Candace and Chris. I've used to work in the same building with Chris up here, so I knew him a little bit, and I was like, I don't want to believe that's true because I know him a little bit and think that they both seem
yeah,
to
he's such
be
a
great.
nice
They're
guy.
married, good, yeah.
Yeah, and I just think it's unfair. Listen, if it's true, then everything I said doesn't make any
Me
sense.
too, me too. If
But
it's true, it's true. He's a terrible person, but I don't think it's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
I just don't believe it, and yeah, I'm not believing anything that isn't factual.
Hey, y'all. I do love to cover drama and I love to talk about it on this podcast, but a place that you don't want drama is your kitchen table at dinner time or lunchtime. That's why I love Little Spoon. I've told you guys that I so wish Little Spoon was around when my kids were little. It would have saved me so much heartache. Little Spoon is the one-stop shop for healthy, easy mealtime and snack time for your baby, toddler, and your big kid, and it's delivered right to your door. That's right, you can have Little Spoon in your life for years, making the mealtime healthy, tasty, and easy from the little bitty babies all the way up to the big kids. Little Spoon delivers, they have the baby blends, the biteables, the plates. They have lunchers. You have to think about like old school favorites with the new school standards. Brand new lunchers are healthier and they're build it yourself lunches, flavors and imaginative build it yourself meals that your big kid will love, like easy cheesy pizza, yum. Chicken dunkers, yum. Chicken nacho dips, yum. All made junk free and have 10 grams of protein, which is super important, as you know, on those busy school days. They also have some new things in their snacks. They have dipsters. You guys, nobody loves a dip more than me. They have these new offerings, brownie batter plus cookies. Oh my gosh, so good. Confetti cake and pretzels. They have these veggie loops, fruit rippers, oat bakes, and then the smoothies. Yum. So, like I said, sweet baby James, my nephew's son, tried so many of these things. He loved everything he tried. They were so happy because it came right to the door. That's great for grandma, which in this case is my sister, and great for parents as well. So make this year's chaos a little more manageable with time-saving, delicious, and healthy meals and snacks your kids will love. Go to littlespoon.com/pinkshade and enter our code pinkshade at checkout to get 30% off your first Little Spoon order. That's littlespoon.com/pinkshade and enter our code pinkshade and you'll get 30% off at checkout. Yeah. And do we know for Potomac, is Charisse coming back as a full-time housewife, I wonder? She is?
No, as a friend of.
As a friend.
As
I,
a
I,
friend.
I feel like I'm the only one that just really likes Charisse.
I
really
love Sheree. She's so sweet. I had her on my podcast, and she's the sweetest thing in the world. She's a fan of mine. I'm a fan of hers.
Yeah,
And
I like her.
I think she's listen, they're saying she's the real grand dame, the original. So I think
Oh,
but to me that's funny. I don't think that's something you take seriously.
right.
Um
Yes, I
like,
agree.
oh, that's my title. I think it's fun to like poke fun at it, but I think she's such a great cast member. And I'm
I think
happy
so
that
too.
she's the friend of role because that suits her best.
Do you remember when Charisse would hoverboard around her house rapping?
Yes. Yes, I remember that. Oh, that's like season 2, I think, or
That
something.
was so funny because my
Yeah.
kids had those hoverboards too, and I was like, "You could break a hip. Like you
I
don't
was gonna
want to."
say it's very dangerous. I was too afraid to ever try it.
I was like, "That's dangerous, girl. You're brave." I've tried to get on my kids' hoverboards, and I'm like, "This is going to end up with me in the hospital. I'm too old for
Yeah, and I'm
this."
clumsy, so no.
No. Now, what do you think about what's happening right now, the current season that we're in on Salt Lake City? Are you watching? How are you feeling about
So,
Sans Jen Shaw?
yeah, so I wasn't planning on watching it because I thought without Jen Shaw, you don't have a show. So
Mm,
then I spoke about it on my podcast. I'm like, I'm not watching Salt Lake City this season, blah, blah, blah. And then my listeners, who I call the raindrops,
uh-huh.
they tweeted me and said, you have to watch Salt Lake City. It's amazing. They have this new woman named Monica. Angie K is full time, and it's great. And I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever. And then more people said, no, Carlos, episode 3, you got to catch up.
Yeah.
So I said, fine. And I watched the first 3 episodes, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's really good. So I just completed
Okay,
episode
good.
6 last night,
Mhm.
and I'm loving this season.
Can you
It's really
believe
good.
this Meredith gets drunk and has a British accent? I mean, it's crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
no, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Angie K is great. Monica's is becoming my favorite. She's so real, so authentic, super funny. The conversation between her and her mother was so good. Like I'm into it. I'm
I'm
into
into
it.
it too. Now, Pastor Mary, they brought her back as a side character, as a friend
Yeah,
of, and I don't know what's happening there. Somebody called into Andy Cohen Live and asked about her not participating in anything, and he goes, "She doesn't participate the whole season." So, as a producer, you can imagine you'd be like, "What the hell? You better get in
yeah,
there and do that trust fall, girl." Yeah.
yeah. No, I spoke about that on my podcast. Like, I love Mary. I think she's a great reality star.
Yes.
Um, the first couple of episodes, it was funny to see the
Yeah.
non-engagement and to see how she doesn't want to participate. But I feel like it's getting old.
Mhm.
Like, okay, it was funny the first few episodes. Now I'm like when she showed up at Lisa's event and was like, I'm overdressed and like critiqued everybody's outfit. And then
Mhm.
she didn't want the crepes. She wanted, it was, I'm like, all right, it's becoming a little bit
She's
stale.
mean. She's mean.
Yeah, a little mean too, but also
Yeah.
just redundant. And I think the reason why we enjoyed it in the beginning is because we missed her. And it was funny. It was funny to
Mhm.
see the girls argue and you cut to Mary eating a fish fillet sandwich from McDonald's. Like that's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Hilarious. Um, but that's not something I want to see every week.
Yeah, and she was on Watch What Happens Live, and so we had Z-Way there, who I mean, I was like, this is gonna be great. So Andy says, right at the beginning, he says, "Oh, it's so great. Everybody's so excited about this pairing, and Mary here with Z-Way." And Mary's like, "I don't know why. Don't get excited. It's gonna be terrible." Like, no matter what he said, she shot him down. And Z-Way like brought her a fish fillet, and she was just like, she just is not game. She's just not
Yeah.
getting the joke. She's not anything. And so Andy was asking her, like, okay, I think we're going to, this week, I think we're going to talk about, is your son married or not? Since you don't seem to know and you live in the same house. And she goes, yeah, I don't know. We still don't know. And Andy goes, no, I think this coming episode, you talk about it on the show. And she goes, yeah, I don't know. Andy's like, I wasn't even in the scene and I know the answer. Like, you
I
were
mean, yeah,
there. Something
yeah.
is just off.
No, I can tell you my theory. I think when you get rewarded for that type of behavior,
Hmm.
you attach yourself to this character you created because you're getting
Mm,
rewarded for it. People love it. And that's why for me it's not authentic anymore because now you're playing a character because you
hmm.
think people like it and yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
That's a great point, though. That's a great
Yeah.
point. Sometimes people really like you saw that a lot on the original RHONY with Dorinda, like really leaning into
Yes.
the catchphrases and the yeah,
Clap, and yeah, it's like be authentic, and that's
yeah.
why we love the Nene interview I did because you were reminded how quick she is on her feet,
Oh yeah,
how she comes with these catchphrases out of nowhere. We're missing the authenticity of people being themselves, and then us, the audience, telling you like, "Now that was a funny phrase you
yeah,
said, and we're going to like call it a catchphrase," versus
yeah.
like making one up.
Making what trying to make something happen
Yeah.
when it's not organic. Yeah, and I
Yes.
think that with a show like Bell Collective, back to that, you go to a town like Jackson, Mississippi, that's obviously not a hotbed of the entertainment industry, and you find these women who are from from my viewership authentically themselves. Some of them are a little over the top, but I have a feeling in real life they're probably a little over the top. And then
They are.
some of them, like the woman who is the dentist. What is her name?
Oh yeah, Antoinette.
I was gonna say Alexandra Antoinette, the one that's the dentist. First of all, she's cute as a button, but somebody like that is not quite so over the top, but they're
Yeah,
just being themselves. And so that's why it is interesting when you take a show that's sort of housewives esque and take it to a town like Jackson, Mississippi.
yeah,
You might from the jump get people that are more authentic because they're not like the ladies in Chicago are probably just waiting, like, I know it's gotta come here soon. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
bigger cities, with
yes,
smaller cities like this. I think
uh-huh.
it's do you have any, thoughts of doing a Bell Collective kind of a show in another southern town?
I would love to franchise Bell Collective, so the answer
Yeah,
is yes. I'm always
yeah.
thinking about, wow, it'll be interesting to see a Bell Collective in this part of the South. So yes,
Mhm.
I would love to do that. I will absolutely love that.
Mm, I love these southern stories are always just
They're
always
fun,
just
they're interesting, and the thing to Mary is different. You don't see it every day.
Yep,
That's
that's
why
right.
I'm loving Salt Lake City because to hear the conversation about, you know, being a Mormon and getting
Mhm.
out of the church and how Lisa's son wants to devote his life to his is it Christ? No.
Well, it is. They are Christian, but they
They
believe
are
in the
Christian.
teachings of Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and it's all about the going on the mission and
Yes.
yeah. And of course, she's like, maybe he'll go to Madrid, maybe he'll go to Milan, and I'm like, maybe he'll come to Alexandria because they're like right outside my door right now. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they're going to be not. They're probably not going that far.
Yeah.
And the last show I want to ask you about is the new New York. So we just had the finale, which I'm gonna watch today when I get on the airplane. Um, Thoughts on this is something we haven't seen in Housewives, right? The whole just take everybody out and start fresh. So what were your thoughts on that?
I enjoyed the first episode of the reboot.
The first
I said,
episode.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
I really did. I really enjoyed the first episode. I'm like, I like the women. They're interesting. The camaraderie is different.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm into it. And after that, I felt like none of the episodes delivered the way the first episode did, if that makes any sense. It just wasn't, it didn't grab me. And then it dawned on me like, you guys aren't really friends. And
Mm.
that bothered me a little bit because I'm like, I wanted to see like a real friendship group where they weren't asking each other questions like, so where are you from? Tell me more about your mom. And it's like, wait,
Yeah.
y'all don't know each other? What's happening here? And then you have Jenna Lyons, who to me is like Mary Crosby, right? Where it's like, are you not participating? Okay, what's going on here? And then the finale, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but one of the housewives is keeping a secret.
Hmm.
And I'm like, we're this is such a disservice to the audience because we want to see reality. We like
Hmm.
we're talking about Kim Zolciak, Beerman. Like we want to, if she was back on TV, we want to see what you and Crow are going through, right?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
want Kim to say this is off limits, respect my privacy. Well, get off my TV screen because I'm on television, so I want to see everything. So that's what New York was lacking for me. I do like the show, and I do want this show to come back. And I think this show has a lot of potential, but I think there's some people who need to be removed in order to add people on.
Hmm. Would you like to say who? Do you want to tell you, or you just want to?
Just two of them. That's it.
Two. Oh, there's two of them. Okay, so
Just two.
you want to remove. I'm gonna let me guess. You definitely want to remove Psy, and hopefully not.
No, see,
You're
I
not
like
Psy.
Sky. See, this is
Okay.
the thing. I know it's unpopular if you focus on social media. I like Sai because she made herself known
Uh
by
huh.
being herself. Like, do I agree with things she does? Absolutely not. Like the annoyance of being hungry and leaving an event because you're like, there's no food there, and constantly badgering Jessel on like her upbringing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
agree with it, but I appreciate the fact that I know this is who you are. And I like that. What I don't like is like Jenna Lyons hiding her relationship. I'm like,
Mm,
it's okay for Bethany Frankel to come back to New York City and say, my child is off limits. Okay,
hmm.
well, you earned the right because you gave us everything in the 4 years you were on the show.
Yeah.
So if that's your deal breaker, fine, you earned the right to like give us demands. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like Jenna Lyons earned the right to give a demand of my relationship is off limits. But then again, it's not her fault because they still hired her. I personally would not have. No. You have to give
Interesting.
everything. You have to give everything the way Aaron. I love Aaron, by the way.
Okay. Good. Me
Uh,
too.
Aaron is my favorite. I love Aaron because I feel like Aaron forgets cameras are there, and
Yeah.
she's see the thing about me, Mary. I like people who are like themselves, and they're not like playing up to the audience. They don't want to be likable. They're not searching for fans. That's why I like Tamara. Tamara is a woman who's very complex, and she does things I super disagree with,
Yeah.
but that's who she is. And I'm like, thank you for being yourself. It provides great television. So I love Aaron. I like Sa. I love Bryn. Bryn is a
Okay.
wackadoo in the best way
Yes.
possible.
Yes.
Um, and I like Jessel.
Okay. So you don't like Jenna and you don't like Uba. I was like, who? I was like, who
I
are we leaving out? Uba, Uba. Oh my God. See, Uba, I think they were trying to make like the comedic foil. Like she's so tall and gorgeous, but she's wacky. And then they were kind of trying to make Bryn a little bit of like a Sonia Morgan sex kitten type.
Yes.
But I'm surprised you didn't like Uba because I find her so fascinating to be like a supermodel and all that. Because to me,
I
that's
know
just so
that's
New
what
York, you know?
yeah, the thing for me, I I'm a student of Real Housewives of Atlanta and
Hmm.
Jersey,
Yes.
where I need personal story. Like
Okay.
you, I need, I desire to know who you are at home
Hmm.
and what your life is like. Like, think about it, Mary. Nene Leakes, Kim Zolciak, Sheree Whitfield, like the early days of Atlanta, Jersey, Caroline Manzo with the kids,
Yeah.
Lisa Judice and Joe and the kids,
Oh God.
Jack
Yes.
LaRita and her husband, and the sister-in-law with Dina Manzo, like, and
Yeah.
Danielle freaking Staub. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh Lord.
I
Yes.
love, like, when you're in these women's homes and you get to see, like, this is how they cook. This is what they're going through post divorce or being single or being married. And you're like invested. And I think
Yes.
Upa is gorgeous and she's funny. I literally don't know much about her if she's not around the ladies. Like, seeing
Mm.
her in therapy of like, my family's, in a different country, continent in this case. And that's it. I'm like, okay, but again, I don't want to spoil the finale for you. So
Yeah.
Uber does something in the finale that I'm like, okay, I'm done. So
Well, she was on Watch What Happens Live, and she told Andy, that she did have this boyfriend or whatever. And Andy goes, "Do you think we'll see him next season?" She was like, "I don't know. It'll be up to him." And Andy's like, "Well," I think Andy was kind of like, "If you're going to be on next season, we're going to be seeing him next season." But she was just sort of like, "I don't know. I don't know if he'll have time or whatever." We're like, "Well, okay." So I think that's a great point. I think if you're basing it on we didn't get to see the ins and out of their personal life to
yeah,
sort of reflects how they are in their friendships, right? If you know how they are at home, then maybe you know a little more about
yes,
how they
yeah,
relate with the women.
exactly,
It all goes together. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I just really like to look at Uba. And I also really like to look at Jenna Lyons. I think they're so like tall and skinny and like the clothes and
And
everything. And I'm
gorgeous.
just like,
They're both
yeah,
beautiful women in their own right. And look, I always tell people this: not everybody's meant to be on reality TV. Jenna's meant to be on TV, and so is Uba. They're meant to be on TV in some capacity, right? Like
mm-hmm.
maybe the red carpet on E, right? Like
Okay.
bank
Yeah.
correspondence. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
let's see you there. When you're on a Real Housewives show, I need to see what I'm getting in Salt Lake City. Like, to
Yes.
see
Okay.
Meredith, Heather, Whitney, Monica, Angie K give us some real stuff in their personal lives. I want to see. That's what I want to see, honey.
Listen, you can't get more real than vomiting and peeing in a Sprinter van after 15 espresso martinis. Like you just don't get more real than that. That you can't. I mean, you once you put that out there, you can't. You can't no
There's
going back from that.
no coming back to that. Yes.
So gross. So gross. And I think he asked on Watch What Happens Live, like, were you vomiting and it was coming out of the bag, or were you also peeing? She goes, I think I was also peeing. I was like, oh my God, you have three daughters.
I know. I was telling my podcast listeners, I'm like, I really am enjoying Heather and Whitney this
Yeah,
season.
me
They
too.
annoyed me on the Ultimate Girls Trip
Me too.
in
Me too.
Thailand. Yeah, I was like, get them off my screen. But this season on Salt Lake City, I'm loving them. See,
I
you're
am
only as
too.
good as your last episode.
Yeah. And I had never watched Real Housewives of Miami, but once I saw Marisol and Alexia on Ultimate Girls Trip, they were the best part about it. So I was like, well, shoot, now I got to, that was the only one I
It's
never
good.
watched. So now I've watched the whole thing, Carlos. I've watched the whole thing.
Isn't it the best? It's the
It's
best.
so good. It's
Yeah,
so good. I'm so obsessed with Marisol. I'm so obsessed with her. And
yeah,
everybody's like, oh, it's like a shtick. And she's always talking about how she's drunk. I go, it's funny. It's never not funny. It's
yeah.
always funny.
It's
I,
it's it's number one to me. It's the best. I
Miami,
love
you think, is
it.
the best?
Miami is fantastic. Great cast, great reboot. That's how you do a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love everything about it because I love the fact that when Lisa was going through her marital issues with Lenny, and
Mm-hmm.
you saw how like the girls put their differences aside to be there for her.
Yeah.
Like that's when you know you have a good show. When it's not about like team this person, I'm team that person. It's like
Yes.
our girl is hurting and forget about what we're dealing with. Let's be there for our sister. And they just all dropped their BS and was there for Lisa and giving her advice, helping her pack as she had to go back home because the mistress was in the house.
Oh
That's
God.
what I'm saying. Mary, it's personal story. I want to see that. I don't care about you trying to steal beans out of a pantry in a restaurant. Like, give me something I can like sink my teeth into, please. I'm begging you.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, but since I didn't know much about Miami other than just what I see like on the Instagram news or whatever, when all that played out with Lisa, of course I knew about Lisa and Lenny breaking up because it was news, air quotes. But
Yeah,
when all of it played out like for real on the show, I was like, oh my God, this is in real time. She's in real time finding out. That was awful. But he's so stupid, just doing the whole thing on camera. Oh my God,
yeah,
what a gross.
yeah.
Listen,
Very
if I ever need my boobs done, I'm not going to Lenny.
Don't you
That's right.
dare.
No, no, can't go to the boob god. Well, listen, Carlos, tell me all about your podcast. Tell my listeners where they can find your podcast because you have some amazing interviews over there.
Thank you so much. So, Reality with the King is the name of my podcast, and it's wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a YouTube channel. So, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/at the Carlos King _.
The
So
Carlos
you can
King.
also, yes, you can also
Mm-hmm.
watch some of the podcast videos and interviews on there as well. And follow me at the Carlos King _ on all social media platforms.
Yeah, and guys, I really want you to go and check out that show based in Jackson, Mississippi, my hometown, the Belle Collective.
Yay.
There was another girl that was on. She was on Match Me Abroad, which was a TLC show, a little 90-day spinoff kind of a show. It was called Match Me Abroad, and there was a girl from Jackson on there. Her name was Stanika, and she was a complete character. And I was like, now I'm watching this. I'm like, now Carlos needs to call Stanika to get Stanika
Oh,
to the Belle
see, I
Collective.
can.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Don't hang up, but everybody make sure to follow Carlos over on social media and follow me at Pink Shade Pod, and I'll talk to you soon. Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.